Here I am once again on the media platform of Restore Nigeria Network. And today, on my talking head, I will speak on the deplorable and really unacceptable security situation that is prevailing in the country. Crimes, killings, and fears are everywhere, and tears, sorrows, and blood floods our countryside, our cities, and our homes. Ultimately, the primary purpose and responsibility of government is to secure the territory of the country and the lives and properties of citizens. Surely, in this sense, we have to conclude that governance has absolutely failed in Nigeria of today. But before we ask how we got to where we are and how we might save ourselves, let me first categorize the natures of the security challenges which the country is facing. Mainly, we face two natures of insecurity. These are first, economic insecurity. This nature of insecurity is manifested in random social crimes such as burglaries, robberies, kidnappings, banditry, and the thuggish antisocial crimes of street gangs and cult gangsters. By its nature, this type of insecurity is unstructured and is caused by the economic situation of the country. Typically, economic insecurity is tackled through better policing and through social and economic inclusive measures such as job creation, employment generation, and poverty reduction measures, and through the closing of the wealth gaps in the society. The other type of insecurity is political insecurity. This is the insecurity that manifests in ethno-religious self-determinism, such as the ethnic, tribal, religious, and cultural rivalries that are raging around the country. This is the nature of insecurity that is responsible for the ethnic and religious insurgency and the separatist agitations by groups such as Boko Haram, IPOP, Odua, and Niger Delta militants. It is a deeply structured insecurity and is wholly political in its nature. Hence, it is often driven by well-placed actors in the society, including even in the administration and the security apparatuses of government. By its very nature, political insecurity can only be satisfactorily resolved through political means. Anything else leads only to the peace of the graveyard, which in the long run is an unsustainable peace. So, how do we get to this point? When we are now a society and a country that is drowning simultaneously in economic and political insecurities, such that the whole country is drenching in tears and in blood. But we cannot deny that past governments, especially in the First and Second Republic, and even in the military juntas that were in between, made great efforts to practice people-oriented, inclusive, and consensuous good governance. These were governments that strive to provide full employment, housing for all, free education, free healthcare, and who guarantee the freedom of worship and cultures. These are the hallmarks of a caring and just governance. Unfortunately, rather unfortunately, we left all this. And in recent times, we are made to believe that governance is all about the ability to exploit and to make profit from citizens. That is the ability to demand and take fees and taxes, but to give nothing back in return. Naturally, when people-oriented good governance is replaced with a system of state-sponsored oligarchic parasitism, in which citizens must pay with their blood, coming through their noses, for everything, for housing, education, healthcare, and which provide no safety nets for the weak, not even pensioners, who are denied their pensions. Naturally, the despair and poverty which follows from such bad governance is what gives rise to the banditry, kidnapping, and robbery that is overrunning the country. Try as they can, government cannot resolve this problem by police actions alone. Especially in the present situation, when the police force is over-centralized and is largely thuggish and RICO. That is a racketeer influence and a corrupt organization. socio-political insecurity. The foundational cause of this is when government is taken over by tribal, ethnic and religious bigots and supremacists. People who are driven by the desire to dominate other tribes, ethnicities, cultures and religions. This leads to the creation of an apartheid government, a government that is not inclusive and is lopsided against other parts of the country. The fear and resistances to such perceived domination is what is driving the ethno-religious insurgencies and separatist agitations, such as the Boko Haram caliphates, IPOD of Biafra land, and the rest of them. This is a problem that is entirely caused by wrong politics, and hence, government has zero chance of solving it through the use of brute force, especially when even the security apparatuses of government are clearly unbalanced in their representation and are glaringly biased in their operations. This is exactly the situation which the present APC government and its wrong TRR politics of tribe, religion and regional domination has brought upon the country. It is a problem that can only be resolved through the politics of inclusion and unity. Now, as it is generally said, there is no smoke without fire. Hence, if we look, we will see clearly that the thick, black smokes of insecurities that is suffocating the country is directly as a result of the fires of the bad economics and the divisive politics which we are willfully ignited by this APC government. But gladly and happily, the hourglass of this APC government is fast running out, and the time set aside for us to change the bad change is at hand. The presidential election of February 2023 provides us with the opportunity to return to the practice of good economics and good politics. And that is the medicine to cure all of these insecurities. But to assess this medicine and to begin our treatment, we have to look for the solution in the right place. Otherwise, we will end up searching up in the branches for what can only be found down at the roots of the tree. Naturally, this will be a wasteful and a self-defeating search. This is why we have to look very carefully at the contending parties for the 2023 election and their respective candidates, especially their presidential candidates. And we can place the parties and their presidential candidates in two broad divides. On the one side of the divide, we have the NNPP, which is presenting Rabiu Kwankwaso, a lifelong Arewa hegemonist, a man who is driven by an entitled sense of regional domination, basically a regional supremacist. Next is the Labour Party and its candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, a man whose presidential ambition is running wholly on the fuels of grievances and cries of tribal and religious exclusion, absolutely on the basis of tribal and religious agitations. And so far, a man who has not provided his panacea for our multifaceted security challenges. And finally, the APC, whose Bola Tinubu has openly stated that his own is just a mission to grab presidential power, which, as far as he is concerned, is an exclusive right which is duly contracted to him, and who have publicly vowed to continue with the same economic and apartheid policies of the present APC government. Obviously, these are not people to be counted on when it comes to tackling our teething national security problems. Therefore, electing any of these people as president will mean the continuation of the present siege laid on the country by wanton criminality, banditry, and separatist insurgencies. Now, on the other side of the divide, we have PDP and Atiku Abubakar, a man who from the onset has made the resolution of our national security challenges as one of the main focus of his presidential quest, and who have in many forums around the country explained in detail how he will go about doing this. from reforming, equipping, and beefing up the police force to the decentralization of the federal police and supporting the setup of state and community policing, up to overhauling of the entire national security architecture of the country by returning balance and inclusiveness to the federal security services. Furthermore, Atiku has pointed out that ultimately insecurity is best tackled from its roots, and that is by revamping the economy and improving national unity and respect for our diversities, and by encouraging the negotiations to foster ethno-religious peace and coexistence. Let us hear Atiku speak on this.
If we get into power, we will increase the welfare of all security forces. We will use modern technology and intelligence to combat insecurity. We will also increase the number of personnel of our security agencies. Why security? Because national security is the first sign of a functional government. And why it does not exist, we must not blame those who threaten it. We can only blame a government that allows it to be threatened. And if I'm elected as their president, insecurity is one thing I will not tolerate. Under our leadership, we will ensure absolute security because that is the number one condition for economic prosperity. When the citizens of any nation have the opportunity to progress at their own pace, they themselves will help make insecurity a thing of the past. If we introduce opportunities for Nigerians to express and progress themselves, we would have depressed the insecurity.
Certainly, electing Atiku as president will present us the best hope to satisfactorily resolve our security challenges. Therefore, in the face of the present circumstances of economic and politically induced insecurities, the clear and obvious choice to solve this problem has to be Atiku Abubakar, a man with proven credentials when it comes to economic reforms and rejuvenation, and a man who is an acclaimed unifier of people. Hence, when it comes to the restoration of national security, believe me, Atiku knows. Therefore, in 2023, vote for the restoration of national security. Vote for Atiku. Vote for PDP.